Alright, this is not my first time in the Mazda CX-8, but I think this is the first time in the facelifted, updated Mazda CX-8. Now the facelift is minor. There are some new color options. There's a new front grille. There are updated features in the car. So of course, radar cruise control, lane keep assist, the full suite of advanced safety systems, which is now becoming commonplace in cars. All right, you still have automatic headlamp. Do I have automatic? Okay, automatic wipers, auto everything basically. Right now the CX-8, before I go there, I received an interesting question the other day asking me, Bobby, what's the difference between the CX-9 and the CX-8? In terms of the size of the car, they're similar, but why is the CX-9 so much more expensive? Well, if he, BT50, if he had test driven both cars, he would know the differences are drastic. All right, the CX-9 was built to challenge cars like the X5, the Q7, the XC90. You know, it is a much more the feeling of driving that is the feeling between a 2 Series Grand Coupe and a 5 Series, right? The CX-5 platform that spawned the CX-8 is very nimble, pretty lightweight, and responsive to drive. But on uneven roads, undulations, you will feel that coming into the car. Not that the car is any way bad in dealing this, but a smaller platform is a smaller platform at the end of the day, whereas the CX-9 sort of wafts over things, and the CX-9 is a lot quieter. The way it drives, the way it feels, you can feel the heft of the car. You know, it feels like a big car going. Of course, the handling is tidy. It is still a Mazda at the end of the day, but by no means you will feel that the car is very agile. You know, you will feel that you're driving a heavy car, a very substantial car, and that's the feeling the car wants to give you. If you were to drive 800 kilometers, 1000 kilometers, you will come off the CX-9 a lot more fresh than you would in a CX-8. You know, those who have done long distance endurance driving, you will know what I'm talking about. When you are being driven or driving cars like a 7 Series, an 8 Series, an S-Class Coupe, that kind of big car, right? You just feel like your car just reacts that way. Even if the wheels are doing all that, the body is doing this, you know? So it's a lot more comfortable. And of course, the CX-9 is finished to a different standard. Anyway, let's come back to the CX-8. It is still a favorite. I'm seeing more and more CX-8s in the market. I think that's mainly because when a person goes to a showroom, look at the CX-5 and look at the CX-8, it's very easy to go with this because of the extra utility. The car is slightly longer, arguably looks better than the CX-5, and then you get 2 more seats at the back. Whereas where the 2 seats can be folded flat. And of course, there's a lot of engine options and drivetrain options. This one in particular is the range-topping 4-wheel drive 2.5 turbocharged cars, which means when the road is slippery, if I floor the throttle, the power is able to be put down by all 4 wheels instead of it spinning out of control. Like now, heavy rain, slippery, I can accelerate the car with confidence that the power is being distributed into all 4 wheels to accelerate my car. Instead of being a front wheel drive, if I were to do the same thing just now, the wheels would just start spinning and the balance of the car would go out slightly. All right. So it gives you that extra traction and that extra assuring feel. But if you opt for four-wheel drive, which currently is only available in the 2.5 turbo, you will notice your fuel consumption, because daily drive is, you're just going to use it that way. If you drive daily on a four-wheel drive car with a turbocharged engine, your fuel consumption is going to be a lot higher than where if you go for the 2.5 petrol, say for example, or the 2.2 liter diesel. Now Mazda's diesel is excellent, all right? It's a diesel without the diesel clatter, without the diesel smell, and it's more fuel efficient than the petrol. However, do take note, Mazda's diesel, when compared to BMW's diesel, is a distance away, but it was intentional. Put it this way, let's say your average petrol engine car can go 500 km, all right? And a Mazda diesel can easily do 750 km, right? But it will not do what a BMW diesel can do, 900 km, 950 km, mainly because in order to not have the diesel engine emit that much carbon monoxide and other chemical terms that I can't remember, okay, I'll just admit I do not know. I mean, I knew, but I do not know now, all right? Does that qualify as not remember? Anyway, Mazda intentionally reduced the compression of their diesel engine to become the world's lowest compression diesel engine. What that results is that the fuel during combustion process doesn't turn into that much of harmful fumes, let's put it that way. All right, that also directly results in Mazda's 2.2 diesel not being able to produce its most efficient power output, not power output, efficiency output. All right, so that's the idea, but a very good in between and a big jump from petrol. So the engine, the options of this car, I think there are many variants. There is, in terms of front wheel drive, right? There is the lower spec model, and then under front wheel drive, you have the 2.5 liter naturally aspirated Skyactiv engine, low spec and then high spec, you know, and then with other safety features. And then you have the diesel, and then for all-wheel drive you have the 2.5 turbo. This engine and this power needs four-wheel drive. You see, it is a fast car, and without that four wheels putting the power down, I would find it a little bit hard to control. All right, definitely we will spin there, especially in this weather. So there's a plethora of options. It starts from about 184,000 and then 190,000, and then there is a jump 205,000, which, you know, we arrive at the full spec variant already with all the safety features, and then we go to 210 or 212,000, which is the diesel, and then this one is at 220,000. So let's put aside the lowest spec model. We are looking at 30,000 difference between a 2.5 NA lower spec and the top spec 220,000 variant. Now if I disregard the 190,000 spec, we go into the 205,000 spec, it will be a 15,000 ringgit difference. So even though I personally prefer the sound and characteristics of the 2.5 liter NA, which I think that engine is a gem, it's fantastic, and it sounds better than this 2.5 turbo, all right, for some reason. But it makes no sense to save 15,000 ringgit and not get this one, because when you're buying the car, you're paying 10% down payment, 15% difference is 1,500 ringgit difference, and then when it comes to the loan, it's negligible, all right, for 15,000 difference. So at the end of the day, still go for this one, or if you want longer mileage, the diesel. But the diesel, same, it has 420 Newton meters of torque, you would want the four-wheel drive, right? So yeah. Now, one thing I really like about this engine pairing, this drivetrain pairing, even though it's a turbocharged car, when you are driving smooth, it doesn't feel like a turbocharged car where the turbos haven't spooled. This is one big difference, all right? It still feels like a proper responsive 2.5 NA, and that is what I really appreciate about this car and how Mazda calibrated the drivetrain. This is what Mazda always does best, you know. They put a lot of hard work. They put a lot of hard work into making sure every steer that you do on the steering wheel, all right, and every minute movement of your feet on your throttle pedal and the gearbox, this calibration was done really, really well, which is something that I wish Mercedes would put some effort on their lower end cars, on their non-AMG cars. All right, please. Anyway, yeah, let's look at the walk around video. Cheers. All right, guys, this is the cabin of the CX-8. For those of you first time watching, I will go through every single thing at best I could. Now, first thing you'd realize or you notice when you hop into a Mazda, especially if you're familiar with Toyotas, Hondas, Nissans and all that, right? You will suddenly see why is, you will definitely observe that the material quality of the fit and finish of its interior is one level above the usual Japanese aspects. Even the way it does all this satin chrome plating, the way Mazda do it is actually better than the way Lexus do it. Lexus actually use a paint, all right, whereas this one is properly satin chrome. Very nice finishing. Even you see the reflective of this door handle, and you can't really feel the molding lines of the plastic underneath. Is very well finished, all right? So that's Mazda for you. And of course the door cuts, you know, none of it is hard plastics. All the surface that you can touch, even if you go down low, when it's like just pure hard plastic, but it's the high quality type, even the molding lines is not scratchy or sharp. It's very well finished. All right, aircon vents, door handles, the tweeter, side mirrors, and then here are all the buttons where you can turn on and off the start stop, the lane keep assist. You can press the for the parking sensors, and then to turn on the cameras and to open your boot. Very nice to cluster all these things together here, because naturally you will look whether it's here or not when you need it, right? So Mazda's placement of buttons and all that is very logical, and I like the fact that I switch off the lane keep assist once and it's there all the time. I have switched off and restarted the car a few times and it keeps it there. All right, here you see a little bit of inlay. It looks like wood, but of course it's not. And this little chrome strip here is also very nicely finished. It looks and feels just like the real material. I can't even tell whether it's fake or real, to be honest. Aircon blows on it. It feels cold. It feels cold. It feels cold here as well. On the steering wheel, again, you see all these buttons logically placed. They're not flimsy. They don't look like afterthoughts. You know, it's well done. All right. Adaptive cruise control. You know, on, off, cancel, adjust the distance, plus minus speed is very well integrated, instead of some using a separate stalk, you know, and it's so confusing. It's very clear cut over here, the representation of it. And accept phone calls, cut off your calls, volume, next song, previous song, very logical as well. The stalks also feel really good. You know, the feel of the stalks, they feel really good to the touch, right? Even when you turn everything, it's just high quality. The execution here is high quality. It is in every way comparable to a Lexus, I may say, in terms of touch points and interior material quality and all that is right up there with Lexus. Okay, which means it's above some of the entry Germans, all right, except Audi and Porsche, of course. Now the cluster, right? The cluster looks like, oh my god, 3 dials. That's so, so boring. The center, let me see which part is a screen, right? That's the amazing part that what Mazda did. All right, the way they blend in this LCD screen with the 2 physical dials on the side is so real. The brightness, the legibility of it, right, blends in so well. I can definitely I can say that they must have took extra effort to actually blend in this screen with the others. All right, it's just, wait, how do I control them? So it's the trip. Yeah, this one is definitely LCD. You see the needle is on top of the text. Wait, should go below, right? Then it only shows that it's LCD, but it's so well integrated. I do not know what other functions they have added in here, but so far I don't see navigation, which I kind of wish they do it, because in terms of resolution it's pretty high res. They could have integrated navigation into here so that when the driver is using navigation and the passenger wants to change a song or something, the driver is still in full view of where he's supposed to go and all that. The rest of the dials are all functional and very clean and very clear cut, very easy to read. All right, here we have the aircon vents. Start stop button is over here, and then here there's an indentation here, but it does nothing. I think it shows all the warnings. I don't know, what does it do? Anyway, full aircon control buttons over here, full set of it, so it's very easy to use, right? And turning the dials on the aircon controls, there's a very positive click. You can hear it, and it's not loose by any means, so it's very good. Here they added a wireless charger, but being very generous as it goes really deep. But I realized my Fold 4 is too narrow to trigger this, whereas my Note 10 can just be placed here easily and it will start charging. All right, I kind of wish that instead of slanting that side, it should slant upwards so I can view my screen while charging. Nevertheless, it's a good compartment, may I say. Now, the reason why a lot of them make it do this way is that when you accelerate, your things won't fly out, as opposed to having it this way. Understand? So here's the gear cluster control. This is where it looks different from the CX-5. There's a little bit of difference here. This one looks a bit like the CX-9, right? There's like a separate console up here, and the materials feel great. It's leather wrap all round, and even though this is a 200k car, they use Napa leather, which you don't get in a 5 Series or an E-Class. Alright, sport mode, button is here, and these are very straightforward. BMW owners will feel very familiar when you press the buttons. The BMWs from the F generation, alright, you press all these buttons, you will feel the amazing part with Mazda is that any BMW owner come into a Mazda would feel the logical placement of stuffs so familiar with the BMWs that they've been having, except the latest 3 Series where they remove the gear shifter, remove the aircon controls and all that. Why? Because when I traveled to Mazda's R&D facility, the team in R&D blatantly tell us, international medias, that they are big admirers of BMW. They admire BMW, they respect BMW, and they always look at BMW as to where they want to head to. Even the buttons, when you press these buttons, if you are a BMW owner, this is so familiar. When you press the button, very solid but quiet press, unlike Audi's tuck 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 tuck. It's a very satisfying click. But BMW seems to be removing all this, going to touch sensitive, blah 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 blah. Anyway, okay, let's not rant. Cup holders. Here is a heightened console, and you have a split opening armrest, again just like BMWs, and it's very practical. See, and I'm gonna say this again, I'm gonna explain to you all. An armrest that opens up like that is the laziest kind, right? Just put a hinge over here and then just open like that, and it obstructs the elbow sometimes when you want to grab things. And if there are USB ports inside, it's even harder to slot things because there's a whole thing here blocking you. And if you sit behind, it's even more difficult, because after you open this, that whole thing is blocking your view in trying to take anything or just plug any cables and all that. All right, so this is the best. Just split opening like that, and nothing obstructs you. See, all the ports are in clear view. I was reviewing a car the other day. All the ports are on this side, and it's so difficult to plug in because you don't have visual, you can't see them visually, right? Another benefit of having armrest that opens like this, the driver can open one side, right? Or the passenger's hands are here, the driver can just open his side or her side and just take stuff and close it back. All right. Glove box is big enough. Look at that, satin chrome, very nice material to touch, and the door bins are huge and wide open. You can put a big bottle over there, you can put stuffs over there. All right, the seat belts are adjustable, right? You can adjust the height, and yep, everything is just logical. And here, very nice material, not the rough type with sharp edges, sharp molding edges. And then look at that, it's connected. You open this and then you switch off, unlike those with a little button here and then you slap the sun visor to off it. Those are so crude, man. Alright, this one, look at that, opens slowly, it's carpeted inside, good material quality, and the motion, you know, just like a Lexus, smooth. Very nice. Frameless rear view mirror. Oh, this one, you get a card holder as well, you know, very nice. See, that's how you make premium cars. That's how you make your mass segment car feel like a premium car, so that premium car owners don't mind buying your cars. Look at that, the heads-up display is there. Right, let's go to the middle row. Now in the middle row, oh, look at the doors. I have to point this out. 90-degree opening doors. So the doors open 90-degree, which is perfect for ingress and egress. And as I walk towards the car, look at that. That's my hit point. Seats, right? And there are no obstructions here. Okay, and the doors. Look at how the doors go all the way down. That means when you close the doors, it keeps dirt off this side so that your legs won't brush dirt into the cabin. Very thoughtful design, I have to say. Unfortunately, this one doesn't come with any sunroof. I'm not sure if there's a way to spec it if it's available. And if it's still not available, Mazda, why is it not available? Anyway, these are the rear seats of the CX-8. They're definitely more accommodating than the standard CX-5. Alright, you get a huge console over here, and size 11.5 feet, and I can do this, right, comfortably. And I can even, something you can't in others. That's the thing, you know. Anyway, but the way it folds, right, that's it. Yeah, it's just the upper back. It's just the upper back folding down. I remember there was another car, when I fold the rear seats, the seat back down, the base actually follows and adjusts. I forgot which car was it, but that is proper ergonomics. Alright, and then you get a blind over here, right? Just like a premium car. Put it back down. Alright, let's look at the rest. Here's the aircon panels. You see, nicely finished. Any Mercedes owner here? Look at your back panel and knock your knuckles on the plastic. Proper material quality screen here. Mazda. Seat heaters. I kind of wish they are massage, you know, then. And this panel is, this entire console is a bit like, okay, I get a drawer here. Do I get anything up here? Nothing. Just a drawer down here to put my stash of cash. I don't know, my kids can put their ang pao when they visit. But I kind of felt that this entire big giant console, right, doesn't serve a lot. Yes, it's a cup holder and it's a console which is quite deep. What are these? All the Isofix covers. But what's below the cup holders? Nothing. Right? On this side, 2 USB ports, some storage, and what else? There are no aircon vents at the back here for the third row. So it's not that it's not good. It's just that since it's this huge chunk of plastic in the middle occupying what was supposed to be a seat, can it at least serve a little bit more purpose? You know, having the air cons routed to here to blow at the third row, or maybe have a couple more USB ports or cup holders coming up from the rear. You know, it's a noble idea, just that it wasn't executed with more finesse or sophistication. It looks fantastic on pictures and it feels fantastic to sit here with an armrest and a cup holder and a drawer, but the amount of space it occupied and plastic it used to do that two things is a bit wasted in my opinion. It could have been a much larger compartment. It could have be able to do more things, maybe a 3-pin plug or something, you know, make it useful. Anyway, that's the third row. You can pull these seats and then supposedly they will slide up and then you can go in. Now these are for kids. Alright, at this juncture these are for kids. Of course, there's also the version where you can walk through here. So now, third row, I get USB ports, I get cup holders and a compartment. The aircon actually reaches me, and let's look at my headroom situation. Yeah, brush against it, but by no means I am squeezing myself in. This is definitely more spacious than the Tiguan or the 5008, and I believe it's also slightly more accommodating than the CX-9 actually, even though the seat base are low. But remember, these are for kids. And one thing that is really nice is, I just want to point this out. Look at how Mazda finished these plastics. Remember in the GLA review, the Mercedes ones are sharp. Anyway, let me come down. See, this look like the Mercedes ones, but it's less sharp. Still a little bit, but it's definitely not as sharp. Anyway, look at the seat base. Look at how rounded it is, and the leather actually goes all the way down. For children, right, because their legs are shorter, it's so nice to see Mazda make it rounded so that it's easier for them to bend their legs and it's comfortable. Very nice. Okay, let's fold those seats down and see what kind of space are we talking about. Alright, I don't think they can go full flat, but I can't be sure. Let's power tailgate, Skyactiv G 2.5 turbo. Now this is pretty high because this goes down automatically. Very nice. They should have mounted this. Anyway, never mind. Let's keep quiet and try and get it done. Oops, that is blocking. So I don't have any controls to move the second row. I just have to bounce it up a bit. Oh, the action is not immediate. It slowly comes up. Not bad. There we go. Huge boot. And it's flat. Look at that, it's flat. And this is a compartment, I suppose. Oh, a hidden compartment with a false floor over here. That also means there are no tonneau covers in this car. The tonneau cover mounts on the panels are covered. There are no tonneau cover rails because of the unique configuration that they extend it and then they place two seats over here. Alright, you get some hook points. This one is to slot your seatbelts in so they don't fling around. Go in there. Oh, there we go. Right, so they don't create unnecessary noise. Yep, that's the boot situation, which is very large. That's why people buy this instead of the CX-5, because yes, I don't get a middle seat, but in most CX-5 the middle seat is, in most cars there are 4-seaters anyway. Every single car on the road is actually 4+1 because the third row middle seat is not accommodating. This one you have 2 extra seats hidden on the boot which you can fold up and they can fit adults. And you get a power tailgate. Might as well go for this, right? Isofix hooks around. I just love touching the leather. Really high quality smooth leather. Yep, that's the CX-8. Still a fantastic choice, but I kind of wish that it has panoramic roof or sunroof for that matter. And of course this one has the full adaptive cruise control stuff. And now it comes to engine choice. Which one should you go for? You see, the prices of all of them are so near one another. It doesn't make sense to not spend the other 10 or 15,000 to go for the turbocharged engine, which gives a lot more power. But I personally prefer the character, behavior, sound of the 2.5 naturally aspirated version. It has less power. The 2.5 has less power than the turbo, obviously has less power than the 2.2 diesel, but I like how that car drives and feels and sound on the road. Right, it under acceleration, Mazda's 2.5 NA sounds really good, sounds better than the 2.5 turbo for some reason. And the diesel, of course, Mazda's diesel doesn't have the diesel clatter, doesn't produce the diesel fume, and it's so powerful and fuel efficient. More fuel efficient than standard Mazda petrol, being a diesel, but less fuel efficient than the German diesels or proper diesels. But those diesels smell and clatter. Alright, so how Mazda makes it? You know, Mazda's petrol engines are the highest compression petrol engines in consumer cars in the world, but their diesel is the lowest compression. It was on purpose to produce less carbon monoxide. Anyway, yep, here's my review. A fantastic car, a lot of options, engine configuration. If you do not need the 4-wheel drive system, then the 2.5 NA high spec is my choice. But it's 10-15 grand difference from this. Doesn't make sense not to take the 4-wheel drive with a 2.5 turbo. But of course, when it's 4-wheel drive and you have a turbo, your fuel consumption will be much worse than the 2.5 naturally aspirated engine. Alright, just keep that in mind. Yeah, 15k. I mean, anyone could have spent 7,000 on coating, another 5,000 on tinting. So what is 15,000 in the grand scheme of things for a car that is 220,000 versus 205? Right? Cheers. One last thing, Mazda or any car maker, get your screen sorted out. Alright, what I mean is this, whether you are a premium make or whether you are a non-premium car maker, having a higher resolution camera and a higher resolution screen when it comes to reverse and the graphics and all that, right, is the cheapest way you can go to make your car feel expensive. Alright, because having a very low resolution camera or a high resolution camera or graphics that are better or graphics that are worse affects your cost very little when it comes to car making. So that is one easy way to have a perception of a higher quality car, especially when people go into reverse and then they see the camera and the graphics, the lines and all that, right? Just look at Mercedes-Benz and BMW. They are the best when it comes to these kind of stuff. Alright, so just look at what they're doing and just copy, just get the same supplier, just buy them, because they're not that different in terms of costing from lower spec ones. You guys may be surprised, we're talking about a few bucks, alright, between that of a high grade camera and a lower grade one, US dollar, but I mean, so yeah. Alright, it betrays all the effort you put in. You know, all the satin chrome, all the soft touch points, the beautiful fit and finish, the Napa leather, blah blah, all this wow, until you go into the low res camera. Okay, so yeah.